For our last day in this camp, we're going to learn about variables. Variables let us store data, which could be more useful in something like a game or a story, but we can use it to directly manipulate both our Mindstorm copies at once. A variable holds a piece of information, so that if we change the variable, anything that relies on the variable for information also has its data changed. Let's look at how we can make a variable. We can go into the Variable tab and hit Make a Variable. I want to control the speeds of our robots, so I'm going to name my variable Speed. We can choose whether to say it's for all sprites or for this sprite only. If you have previous programming knowledge, you'll know that this is the difference between global and local variables. For this case, we want our variable to be able to impact both of our robot sprites, so we're going to say we want it for all sprites. I'm going to click OK, and now we can see that the icon shows up on the stage. I want my variable to be directly adjustable, which means that somebody would be able to control it by looking at the stage. To do that, I'm going to double tap on the variable itself, and it's going to change what kind of variable it is. So it changes from its name and then the number to just a number, and now we have its name, number, and this little slider here, which lets us control the values. So now, when I control this bar, I should be able to control our robot speed. So now I'm going to go through our code, and I'm going to replace any time I would have put speed, so moving steps, with the actual variable. So instead of having a 5, I'll have speed. And so when the move steps bar asks how far forward it should go, instead of having a straight number, 5, it'll ask the variable speed what number to report. So if we have speed up to 100, it'll move 100 steps. If we have speed down to 0, it won't move at all. And if we have speed at 16, it'll move 16 steps. So let's finish doing that. Let's see if it works. Okay, so they're definitely moving quickly. You can see that if I lower this, you can see the robots become a lot slower. If I crank it all the way up, they move so fast you almost can't see them. I'm gonna lower that. Your turn. Think of something you'd like to be able to alter for your robot and program in a variable. This can be anything that relies on numbers, or if you want to use something from the looks bar, you can have it say different things. So there's really a lot of different options for you to choose from. Pause the video here until you're finished. For my project, I added in a size variable that allows me to control the size of the robots using a sliding variable. I have it right now just in sprite number 2, so I'm going to drag it to share it with sprite number 1. And then let's try it out. So right now you can see they're tiny because size is at 0. If I crank it all the way up to 100, they're at their normal size. And if I move it to 50%, they're roughly half the size. Oh, they're so cute and small. So there are a lot of different things you could have chosen for your project because there are a lot of different pieces of data that our program relies on. Plus, there's all the other things you could have added into your project to make it more complex and thus have more different pieces of data. So you can also use a variable to count for something. For example, if I wanted to see whether my robot does more left or right turns as it follows the lines of my color sensor program. Let's take a moment and pull that code back up. We're going to disconnect. All right, let's keep this. I like being able to change the size. We're going to disconnect our old code. Make sure to disconnect it from both robots. You can see our size code is over here. I'm going to drag it so that I can see it, just because I like being able to see all my code at once. And we're going to bring back, we're going to bring back our color sensing code. I think this looks like it. Okay, it's right over here. I'm going to give it a green flag. We're just going to do this with sprite number 1. We're going to move sprite 2 off to the side for now. So we want to see for sprite run, every time, let's make our variable, let's name it direction. Let's keep it for this sprite only because we only want it to apply to sprite number 1. So we can see that it's listed in the variable name as sprite1 direction to let us know that this variable is only for sprite 1. I could say whenever I turn to the left, so turning to the right negative, we want to change the direction by -1. And then every time it turns to the right, we want to change direction by 1. So let's see what happens when I run the program. So if we run the program, we can see that when it turns to the right, it increases, and when we're just going to have to wait a bit for a left turn, but when it turns left, we'll see that this will decrease. So for your final project, be creative and create your own Mindstorm program, something completely different from what we've done. You could create a story with our robot, a simulation, a game, or you could just create another maze and a program that guides the robot through. When you're done, send me an email at frc5587@gmail.com so I can take a look at your project. Make sure to document your code so I know what's happening. I'll tell you what I like and how I think you could have accomplished the same thing in an easier way, and I'm excited to see what you're going to come up with. If you get stuck along the way, send me an email and I'll do my best to help you out. Bye!